So this is one of the first questions from someone who interacts with you pretty regularly on Twitter.
Yeah. This is our first question officially.
Our
first question, our first topic.
Without being snarky, define liberal.
Okay, well, for one, I'm going to say the person who asked the question didn't say don't be snarky.
That's me.
I'm on endeavor. So, define liberal. All right, to preface this, whenever someone says define liberal to me, they probably mean you have complained about liberals, and I want to know how I am or am not a liberal. Like, how am I or not the person that you are talking about here? What makes a liberal different than a leftist? This is a huge conversation all over 2006, thanks to like the Bernie Sanders campaign and the Hillary Clinton campaign. And I reject liberalism because it is completely diametrically opposed to my approach to things, my leftism. Liberalism stands for two things: liberty and equality. Now, you're probably thinking, gosh, those things sound really nice.
Things sound really nice.
Right? And David, you reject liberty and equality?
David, why are you rejecting liberty and equality?
I know. So the thing is that with the foundation of liberty and equality, they do sound pretty good, but not so much if you actually look at what they mean. So classic liberalism, which is not really a big issue anymore, or at least in left discussion, classic liberalism is mostly focused on liberty. It's focused on letting people do whatever they want. A lot of older American politicians were classic liberals, and this gave us things like slavery, like the dissolution of civil rights, that sort of thing.
And this is the idea that if you have the power to do something, you should be able to do it.
Yes. If you have $5, you should be able to spend the $5 to buy an election or whatever. Classic liberalism basically is a lot like what we would call libertarianism right now in America. It's different elsewhere. But that's evolved, and now we're talking about more modern liberalism, neoliberalism, which is oftentimes focused a lot more on the equality side of things.
That sounds good.
I know, but equality means a very specific thing in this case that is much, much different than sort of what we look at on the left. So there's a comic that's really popular that explains this very well, and I might put it like over here. And basically, the comic shows three children who are at a baseball game, and they're all trying to look over a fence in order to see the game. And there's a short kid, middle kid, and tall kid.
The tall kid can already see over the fence.
Yes, the tall kid can see over the fence. Everything's okay with him. The middle kid cannot, and the lower kid definitely cannot. And so there's 3 milk crates, 3 boxes, and then so without that you have inequality, right? Only one person can see over whatever, and then you have equality, which is sort of the liberal idea or ideal. And that is where you take those milk crates and you divide them equally, and you make for sure that everyone has the same advantages in their efforts to see over that fence. The fence, of course, meaning like institutional barriers. So you put a milk crate under each person, and you have the tall person can definitely see over, and then some. The middle person can see over now. The short person cannot. So that's equality. Everyone is given the same advantages in their efforts to overcome institutional barriers. I think that that's unacceptable. So there's a second step here. There's a second way of looking at this, and that would be equity. In an equity model, instead of giving everyone the equal advantages, the equal opportunities there, you look for equal outcomes. This is more like democratic socialism. This is more like what Bernie Sanders talked about a lot. And in this model, you would take those 3 crates and you would redistribute them depending on the person's need. And that's a lot better. You would take the tall person would not get a milk crate. The middle person would get 1 milk crate, so the middle person could see over. And then the short person would get 2 milk crates. And that way all 3 of them can see over the institutional barrier.
That sounds nice.
It does sound really nice. The problem is there's still an institutional barrier. To a leftist, the institutional barrier is the problem. And instead of looking for solutions to overcome that barrier, we strive to remove the barrier. That's justice, social justice, economic justice. We try to remove those barriers entirely. And so, with the liberal equality view, some people have opportunity to overcome barriers and some don't. That's not okay. And to advance the liberal agenda to its sort of like natural conclusion, you have to move towards equity. Liberals generally avoid that because they like their equal opportunities. With your equity model, though, you still have that problem. People are still barely able to look over that fence. When you take justice into account and you destroy those barriers, those institutional problems, then you don't even need to worry about looking over the fence. You can just sort of go free where you need to go. If you want to sit over there and watch the game, you can sit over there and watch the game. If you want to go up front and watch the pitcher up close, awesome, that's on you. So the ideas are sort of diametrically opposed. On the surface, it seems like they want the same thing, but really it's a question of what problem you're trying to solve. And the liberal idea is trying to solve the problem of, well, some of these people can't see over the fence. Our problem is there's a fence. So that's liberalism.